Hello, my name is Fred Amrine and welcome to Pay Fred's YouTube channel. If you're new to our channel, please hit the subscribe button so you can keep up to date on our paying for college and student loan repayment advice that we give throughout this programs. We're really excited about today's topic. Today's topic is married filing separate for student loan repayment. This is a big issue for many married couples as they're trying to work through the different options they have. And there's actually 126 different options you have to go through to make the best decision. The reason why there's so much confusion is our sources of advice. There's three major sources. You have the loan services who are really just focusing on your loan repayment. They don't really cross over until the personal financial area, such as your taxes or how your debt is structured. That is one of the biggest issues that many couples face. They only can address each person individually. Your tax advisors have a more global view and they're trying to lower your taxes as best you can. What they don't see is the impact on your student loan repayment. And this is a big issue that many people don't understand. With those two people in place, your lenders have a great opportunity to find better solutions. Again, here's where there is a shortcoming. That private consolidation will now limit your options because now you'll leave the federal program, which has the most amount of flexibility. So what we've created is an objective and comprehensive view that lets you bring all this information together in one place so that you can make a better decision, not just for today, but for your financial future. So here's where the confusion starts. There's actually 126 different options if the couple has federal loans and now they want to file their taxes either married and joint or married and separate and walk through the numbers. So there's 7 combinations of how your taxes are filed and how your debt is structured. Then there's 9 different loan repayment options. And then you have 2 people. That's how we get to the 126 different options. Again, typically you only can see these individual options. We have now collectively put this in one place for you to compare. Another big problem is all the information is somewhat generalized. Each couple's situation will be unique. How their debt is structured, what each couple makes, do they qualify for loan forgiveness, and what is their cash flow? Why many couples are so confused and so frustrated. There isn't a good source of information, and that's why I've developed the tool we have. What we do recommend is that you have your taxes reviewed by a tax professional. That is a critical part that many people don't understand. But you also have to present to them how it will impact your student loan repayments. This is why, in most cases, if you file your taxes married and separate, you lose deductions and your numbers typically will be higher. And that's why the tax advisors are somewhat reluctant to recommend taxes filed married and separate versus filing married and joint. In your plans, you need to consider your future changes. Are you going to have children? Future job changes if you're in a career that you're planning on public loan forgiveness. These are all different changes that you need to have factored in when you're making your decision long term. I think the first type is breaking up the type of married couples that we have. So if I have a married couple and they've already filed their taxes at least once as a couple or separate, they'll have to review their options. And this typically happens when there's a change. This is where one of the spouses has now completed school and now they have to start repayment. They may have been filing their taxes a certain way and now will have to review the changes. Where the biggest confusion is for the couples that have not filed yet. And here's where it goes from 2 to 1 or from 2 to 2. And there are different rules. When I file my taxes single or head of household, I then can go married and separate, but we're going to lose certain deductions. Or we're a joint couple and now we're going to file our taxes joint. We will lose some deductions, but our tax tables will work to our advantage. These decisions you'll need to work through, and our tool actually helps you do that. A big issue too, if couples are filing their taxes and using the income-driven repayment methods, they also have to be aware of the timing of when the couples filing their taxes and when their recertification occurs. If your recertification happens later in the year, the recertification will use the most current tax return on file if it's available at that point in time for recertification. So again, here's where there is some lead time, but also you can see a lag and when the complications could occur. So let's walk through how we approach this and our process and what we think is the best way to do this. First, you have to understand your marital status and what options you have. How are you currently filing your taxes today so that you now can compare the actual numbers that you have to where you're going in the next step. So understanding, do we file our taxes? In this case, we're filing married, and now we currently are filing married and joint in this case. And is either one being claimed on someone else's taxes? No. And did either one of them qualify for public loan forgiveness? And then what type of loans do they have? Then you should use the National Student Loan Database. and you'll need to have your FSA ID. If you've been out of school for a little while and you are looking to review this, you have to get your FSA ID to get access to the National Student Loan Database. But that will have all your federal loans in one place. For some people, if maybe their parents have taken Parent Plus loans, those loans will not be listed there. They will only be your loans that you have signed off on. Your Parent Plus loans, if your parents have taken them on, they will be under their ID and not theirs. And you cannot use the income-driven repayment methods to repay Parent Plus loans under your ID. Then you have your private loans, and what you're trying to do is create a total inventory of both your federal and private loans. And remember, once you do a private consolidation, the option to use the federal loan repayment options, which have a great deal of flexibility, is lost once you do a private consolidation. As I talked before, here's where you need to do the work. This couple has filed their taxes married and joint, and there we can see how their current tax return is filed. And now what we're trying to do is project what they will look like filing married and separate. So here's person one and person two. Now you can see the biggest issue is they had the student loan interest deduction as a couple filing married and joint, but as they file married and separate, neither one of them are able to claim that. And this will happen the same for that married couple, where it's two people now filing and they both may have gotten the $2,500. And if they file married and separate, they will actually lose $5,000 of interest deductions if they have to file their taxes married and separate. And there's a few other things here that you can see, and as we go through the tax table differential here, this couple will pay $730 more annually than they would if they file their taxes married and joint. And this is the work that you need to get professionally done with your tax advisor. Then once you have this information, here is the combinations, or the first person. This is spouse one, and how they file their taxes married and joint. So we're looking at married and joint across the top. We're married and separate, and then how the debt is structured. Do both of them have federal loans? Do only one have federal loans? This is where now we use the crosshair methodology and understand what our difference is. But just see the difference of filing our taxes married and joint if we both have federal loans and we use the pay as you earn. We can be at 322, then it can go up to 586, and then it could go back to 286 if we file our taxes married and separate. So again, here are different options that you need to consider that is not usually transparent based on current advice that's available. After making this selection, also it's important that it flows to your budget and your total cash flow, but your debt structure, tax filing status are all important decisions that are often overlooked in making this decision. As I said, once we make our decision, the numbers come down into a overall budget. This will allow you to either reach other financial goals that you may have, such as saving for a house, maybe starting a family, maybe getting married, or maybe paying your debt down sooner than expected. Here you can see what options you're picking as you go through this and making the best decision for your overall budget, not just student loans. I think that's an issue that some couples or individuals make a mistake, in the sense that we have a traditional mindset trying to lower that cost, but we affect our cash flows, and you have to have that in your planning also. Here's another part that's often overlooked, and this is where the student loan servicers are not giving all the advice they need to give. So in this case, we see that this person has a interest charge of $445. Now, if they were paying a lower amount, in this case, say below that $445, they would have negative amortization. In the case we're seeing here, that is not true, but it's something you need to understand. Many of the loan servicers could be recommending a lower amount, and if your interest charge is higher than your actual monthly payment, you have what's called negative amortization. That difference will be added onto your loans and increasing your debt number over time. Now, if you qualify for public loan forgiveness, negative amortization is not an issue. But here's where you need to manage your income and understand your income limits. In this system, we see that this person can qualify for income-based repayment or for pay-as-you-earn as long as their income's under $146,678. So as a summary, you can see that you have to understand all of your options. It's not as simple as it's proposed. You need to get your taxes reviewed by a tax professional, depending on when you file your taxes, married and joint, married and separate, and especially over time, as many of these rules may change, and you may face a lot of different changes, such as a house purchase, or maybe the additions of a child. You have to realize the negative amortization risk that you have based on the recommendations that the loan servicers typically provide. You have to consider loan forgiveness, and this can include both public loan forgiveness and normal loan forgiveness. Now remember that the public loan forgiveness is tax-free, where the loan forgiveness after the 20 and 25 years will be taxable. So that could be a significant tax burden if you don't properly plan. In the new world, if you're using the income-driven repayment methods, you have to manage the AGI. This is, again, comes into where your tax advice can be critical, or advice from a financial planner or one of our advisors, which have the designation of college funding student loan advisor, and they're listed on our website. Determine if you're refinancing. As I said, if you decide to refinance, it may limit your spouse opportunities, and you will no longer be able to use the federal methodologies for your existing loans. If you get new loans, then you would be able to use those, but once you refinance, you cannot return to the federal methodologies. So as you can see, there's plenty of options to pick from. You have to factor in your life changes, all your goals that you have. You may be able to make decisions that can lower your student loan repayment, improve your retirement savings, and increase your financial goals. Our goal here at Pay for Ed is become a trusted second opinion so that you can have a better future. Thank you for joining us today, and please subscribe to this channel and register on our website for our newsletter, and we look forward to providing more information to help both families and students navigate the paying for college and student loan repayment process in this complex world. Have a great day.